Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural episode of Podcast the Musical.
The musical.
The Musical, yes. Over there, you hear Kayla.
Hi, I'm Kayla. Yeah, and over there, you hear Josh.
Yes, I'm Josh. One of the difficulties that if you become a regular listener to this podcast is you're going to find that we're going to run into some technical difficulties, some scheduling difficulties, because we live about 6,000 miles away from each other.
Yeah, about as far away from each other as we possibly can.
Yeah, almost exactly. We're all about on the same longitude, or latitude, rather. We're about on the same latitude, but almost on the opposite ends of the Earth.
Yeah, in fact, we should probably get together and figure out a fast track through the Earth, because it would probably be faster than
it would be a lot more efficient to just dig to each other than it would be to get on a plane and fly around.
Yeah.
So
might encounter
anyway,
some mantle core in the middle, but whatever.
We'll just fix that in the previous. Yeah, so this
Who are we? What are we?
What even are we? Well, we're people that love podcasts, we're people that love TV, and we're people that love music, and all those things that come together pretty beautifully to form what we hope will be an interesting podcast to at least ourselves, if not other people on the internet. If it's boring to us, then we'll probably just quit. But I don't think it's.
We have a good gauge for that.
Yes, if it's boring to us, it's probably not going to be very exciting to anybody else. But yeah, we've been friends a long time, and we've both been in musicals and done music together and talked about TV and movies probably more than anything else.
Almost as much as music, yeah.
Yeah, almost exclusively. And we figured, why don't we start recording this and see if other people would like to hashtag join the conversation. That's
don't.
Not a real hashtag. Don't
hashtag that, because that is really a lame hashtag.
It's the worst hashtag ever. I don't know if you knew this about me, but I'm really bad at hashtags. I'm also really bad at Twitter, so we'll see what happens when I actually start tweeting about this show. Maybe I'll get better. Maybe I'll get worse. Who knows? So anyway,
I'll tweet. Maybe I'll do the tweeting.
Maybe you can tweet. You can tweet. I'll put all of our stuff up on Ello or Zanga.
Oh, I wanted to say Zanga. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I wonder if I can get a Zanga reference in the podcast.
Well, you're just going to have to go earlier. You're going to have to be like Netscape or AOL or something.
Yeah. AIM.
Oh, AIM. So, yeah, I'm Josh, and I live in South Korea. I am not military, which therefore means I teach English. Because those are the only two things you can do as a foreigner in South Korea.
As just a foreigner at all, or as an American?
No. There's also in the bigger cities, there's a healthy population of foreign students, usually master's candidate students in the universities, because the universities are quite a bit less expensive here than they are in other countries, especially places
America?
Like India. Well, America, yeah, but India especially. There's a lot of Indian master's students here, especially for electrical engineering and design and stuff like that, since Samsung and LG have a huge presence here. But this is not
that's cool.
It is very cool.
Retrack onto the reason for us right now.
turn this podcast. Kayla, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in North Carolina.
Stop it.
I probably shouldn't say the city. Hey, bleep out the city or something, because it's not very big.
I'll need to make a note.
But anyway, yeah, and I have a stupid job, but I have a lot of skills, and so maybe I will insert my various aspects of my resume within this podcast. It'll be like an Easter egg, and then if you really want to hire me and you've done all that work to piece together my resume, then you should give me a call.
But they won't know where to find you because I'm going to bleep out the city.
Right. Well,
send an email to Podcast the Musical.
because apparently we have an email account.
We do. You do. Kayla at podcastthemusical.com will redirect all emails to your Gmail account.
Then this is why Josh, because this is how this happened. Basically, Josh and I do riffs like this in our lives. This is our friendship that you're going to see displayed here. Beautiful. And it often revolves around things like TV or music / culture and things that we get into and like, because we're both very excitable people about things like this. So this is how this started. I was listening to some podcasts one day and talking to Josh on Google, and basically said, let's do a podcast. And of course, being Josh, he just said, yeah, like, let's do it. And so I was like, we should do it about TV musicals. And he was really into that idea, and I knew he would be. But of course, then Josh did what Josh does, and he ran with it like to the ends of the earth. So
I immediately bought the URL.
The next
I immediately
day,
registered the Twitter and Facebook accounts.
Like, literally immediately after I said this.
Yep.
Like, we had just come up with a possible name, and he had already bought a URL.
Yep.
So this is what we're in for. We're in for very passionate and excitable people about subjects such as these that we have said.
Yes. Speaking of, you want to talk about what the podcast is about? Because we've been talking for almost 10 minutes now, and we haven't even talked about what the podcast is about.
This is how this is going to be.
Great start.
This is how this is going to be, y'all, because I use the word y'all now because I'm in the South. Y'all is a really useful word. I could do a whole podcast on the word y'all.
I'm sure you could. If you just to let everyone know, Kayla is a linguist. She has her master's in linguistics,
linguology.
And which in this specific episode I want to talk about.
Ooh, okay.
Because this episode is about. So I'm so sorry, Kayla.
I'm deaf now.
We figured out that sibilant sounds are very loud in Kayla's ears. Sorry. This episode is about Psych the Musical. Psych the Musical. And you may ask, why? Why Psych the Musical? It's not what I think of when I think of TV musicals. Why don't you do Buffy? Why don't you do Community? Why don't you do...
Buffy did a musical?
I think so, didn't they? Buffy? The musical?
Nah, we'll look into it.
We'll figure it out. But we wanted to pick one that was well-known enough, or a television show that was well-known enough, but people may not know much about the musical episode itself. So they are familiar with the TV show, but it isn't one of those main episodes that is like what everyone holds all TV musical episodes up to as a standard, you know? So, and this one I thought was great.
Yeah.
So, Psych the Musical, it's season 7, episode 15. And we're going to do a section on trivia and stuff later, but one thing I want to come out in front and say, this is a standalone episode. Steve Franks, that's the guy's name. The writer for basically every episode of Psych wanted to do a musical episode since like season 3 or something like that. But the network just kept pushing it off because they didn't think it would be that popular, right? And then so season 7 he finally said, yeah, exactly.
People love musicals.
Snort.
I don't know why people love musicals, and we go through, like, I think we're in a period now that we're about to hit peak musical saturation in like popular media, you know, because like we had Into the Woods that really recently, and like I don't know, at the Oscars they did a tribute to Sound of Music, and so like people, it's like very in the public consciousness right now.
Neil Patrick Harris is the host for every award show now,
and he sings at every one of them,
which I'm fine with because he's amazing.
But I feel like we go through it's like a pendulum swing. You and I have had this discussion before, where like, you know, either what they're producing or what they think the public likes goes through these troughs of like, we could do musicals right now, but it like takes a one brave soul, you know, being like, we're going to put out a musical, or we're going to put out a musical episode of TV. But then there's these troughs where it's like, you will have no musical shows or no like big musical movies that have come out. And I don't know why that is. I think we should have all musicals all the time. In every movie, there should be singing.
Basically, you just want to move to India and be in Bollywood.
Jai Ho.
What?
I was singing Jai Ho. Jai Ho. Did you ever go see Slumdog Millionaire?
Oh, yeah, but it's been, like, forever.
Oh. It's it doesn't matter because we really have to start talking about Psych.
We should. Also, I'm doing these recordings from the school where I work at because I live in a tiny little apartment and with a baby. So can't really do a podcast with the baby. So I get to school super early before any of the other teachers so I can record my podcast. Yeah, so we should probably start talking about it. This episode, like I was going to say, Season 7, Episode 15, is created kind of as a standalone episode that can be inserted into almost anywhere in Season 7, except for after the last episode, which is what they did.
What?
Here, okay, because at the end of episode 14 is kind of like this cliffhanger episode. Not really a cliffhanger, but it's a very, very season-endy episode of TV. It's the end of the episode, or it's the end of the season where Sean finally tells Juliet that he's been lying about his psychic ability. This other guy comes in, Anthony Michael Hall, actually, comes in, takes over the precinct, fires the chief, fires Buzz, I think his name's Buzz, fires McNabb, and then basically changes everything. And then after that, this episode comes in, and then the very first song, Santa Barbara Skies, Sean's talking about how he can't tell Juliet that he's not psychic, and Buzz is there, and all these things. Like, they recorded it way earlier than this, and it could be inserted into any place in Season 7 except for after episode 14 where they make all these changes.
Wait, so are you saying what is happening in Santa Barbara Skies? Because I might have been just like not at all listening and just watching the dancing because
because of the amazing dancing.
Well, the lyrics didn't really sound like they meant anything for like the plot or anything.
Gotcha. Well, kind of. I mean, not for the plot of this episode, but definitely for the plot of the show. Santa Barbara Skies is kind of created as like a entertaining and quick way to understand what Psych is about, kind of.
Okay, I got that. And so I should say what my experience with the show is, and then you should say yours.
Sure.
Clearly Josh has a lot of experience with the show. I have seen some episodes sometimes in a run together, but I've always kind of regarded it as one of those USA shows that you can kind of just like pick up at any time, and it's like, I mean, a lot of them are one-offers, but they have a little bit, and maybe at the end of the episode that strings along the actual connecting story. But I was not I didn't watch this when it came out on TV. I was not I'm not a psych head or whatever you call yourselves, you people. But
I don't know if there's a specific term.
Okay.
But I doubt psych head is going to be what it is.
Okay. Psychic, maybe?
No, I don't know.
But, so yeah, that's my experience with the show. I'm familiar with it, but I know, who the characters are, basically, and how they usually interact, but that is all I know.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know a lot about the show. I've seen every episode, and I enjoy it greatly. It's not one of my favorite shows, but I love that it's I don't know, it touts itself as kind of a police procedural or whatever with a weird twist like The Mentalist or whatever, but it just doesn't take itself seriously. It's wonderful at that. Like, it just doesn't take itself seriously at all, and we'll get into that when we get to some of the lyrics and things that they say. But yeah, why don't we just go ahead and talk about that opener? What are your thoughts on well, actually, it isn't the actual opener. What did you think about the storybook?
Oh, I thought that was hilarious. Like, very Monty Python-esque opening. I mean, who was that narrator? Was that anybody famous?
I looked him up. He's done other stuff, but nothing you would recognize. Nothing that I recognized, at least. He did sound familiar, but I'm wondering if that was just because he was trying to emulate someone else.
Yeah, like Terry Gilliam or somebody.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, it was fun.
I liked it. It was funny. It was good. It didn't really, usually when you have, a storybook opener, the story or the plot has something to do with a fairy tale-esque, but this was just
nothing.
No, we're gonna have a musical and it's just gonna be opened with this storybook opener Enchanted.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And they kind of tie it up at the end, sort of. But that was kind of confusing as well, which we'll get into that at the end. Okay. But that opening song was great. I enjoyed it a lot. Like it was peppy, it was interesting. Gus kills it with his dancing. He's amazing.
Friggin' Dule Hill.
He's so good.
Will forever have a crush on him.
He's so good.
Ever since.
Did I send you? There's a great. I think I put it in the show doc. There's a great video of him having a tap dance off at Comic-Con.
Oh really?
Up on stage. Yeah, it's great. I'll put it in the show notes whenever this actually goes out, and I'll show you later. But it's really, really fun to watch. He's fantastic. And he's tap danced before. They actually made a show.
I remember that. I did see that episode.
They made an episode that was kind of centralized around that. And it was
there was not enough tap dancing. And again, in this episode, there was not enough Dule Hill dancing.
I know.
In my opinion. And in fact, we'll get into this later, but like when he's on the stage later and he's like dancing, he's tapping without tap shoes, and I was so annoyed. I was like, why didn't you just put tap shoes on him?
Yeah.
But I will say, I am a fan of Dule Hill since way back in
West Wing.
Smart Guy.
Oh, Smart Guy. I don't know what
he was in an episode of Smart Guy, which was a show that I watched in reruns on Disney Channel with Taj Mowry, the Sisters brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like he's like an 8-year-old, but he's in high school. But anyway, he wants to dance at one point, and he doesn't, like, he gets into it in this class that Dule Hill teaches, but he's like not good at it, and it's frustrating for him because he's always good at everything. Yeah, and so, but then at the end, they do this dance together where they're like, there's like spray paint, so it's like very percussive, kind of like Stomp. But they're tapping, and they both tap so well, and it's great. It's so great. We should watch that.
Yeah, we should find that clip and throw that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
That's one of these things for a audio podcast. Visual things will be lost on our listeners, and who knows, maybe this will become a video podcast.
I mean, we could play the video and just listen to the tapping. I mean, that's like for tapping, you know, that's like half of it is
although
being
I did
able to
kind
hear
of
it.
get into a tap dancing video spiral, and I'll talk about that when we get to this get to the song where I want to reference. But another thing I loved about the opening number was it was so fourth wall breaking, like because they're referencing all these things that have happened, so that you kind of get a feel for the show itself. Like him talking about Santa Barbara being the murder capital of the world. Because, I mean, you know, it's a police procedural. Yeah. Somebody has to get kidnapped or killed each episode.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it was like sort of self-aware in that first number. There was a couple jabs at that.
It was great. And like how Sean solves crimes, but he does it. He gets the killers to confess because of how great his hair is, which isn't true at all. He just loves his hair. Yeah, and I thought the opening number was great.
I thought it was pretty good. So I was interested to see how they were going to do the singing and dancing, how they were going to like integrate it into the plot, because, and this is going to be a thing that I'll look for at every new episode that I haven't seen in this podcast, because this one was weird. It like battered back and forth between giving you an explanation for the singing and the dancing, but then that opening number was just like, nope, there's just everyone sings and dances and there's no explanation, and like that's fine, and it was great because it was just like open right away. It wasn't no hullabaloo about it. I mean, it was just this is the musical episode. Hope you were expecting that.
Right. Well, I mean, and in that way, it did feel very Bollywood, right? Like, and a lot of shows, especially like shows that are normally serious, which I don't know too many. Like, I don't know that I've seen too many shows that are normally serious and then they do a musical episode. But shows like Buffy or Scrubs, they have this plot device that causes everyone to sing, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas with this one, it's nothing. There is nothing. It's basically just it's an episode.
Because later when they meet Yang, then there's like sort of an explanation. So I found that kind of weird. But we can get into that when we meet Yang.
And then at the end of the episode, I guess we find out that they're just telling a story.
Yeah.
And their ideas, they're pitching a music.
That's a cop-out explanation.
It is kind of, yeah. It's kind of a Deus Ex Machina, but whatever. It's fine. It's a weird show that doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, and that makes it fun throughout, and that's why it works.
Yep. All right. Next, Anthony Rapp. Yes.
Okay, who is that?
The guy from Rent.
Oh, is that who that was?
That is who that was. He looks so much older.
Oh, I wrote down Alan Tudyk. I mean, I knew it wasn't him, but I was like, he looks exactly like him. Whoa.
Yeah. Kind of changes your perspective on it a little bit, right?
Well, I was thinking very Alan Tudyk in Dollhouse, actually.
Oh.
Because at the beginning, I definitely, I bought into the whole he's a serial killer narrative. I was, all on board with that and totally thought that was the deal, and he was gonna be Jack the Ripper, and yeah.
Yeah, the parallelism there was really good.
What do you think about basing it around a musical while it also being a musical, and that musical that it's based around being Jack the Ripper?
I know, it's so weird, but I love it.
I thought it was good. I liked it.
I would watch a Jack the Ripper musical, and maybe it's just because I love Sweeney Todd so much. But and again, if Sondheim writes anything, I will watch it. I mean, he could write a musical about I don't know, a professional football player and make it compelling. Like he could write the music for it. But yeah, I would watch a Jack the Ripper musical.
Well, okay.
Yeah, so, I like the nested musical thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think they did that well. They pulled that off well. There's ways that could be clunky, but I mean, it was pretty seamless for me. I do want to say about Alan Tudyk again. I mean,
he's not even in this episode.
I am staring at my notes, and what I have written down is Z ? Alan Tudyk. What's his name?
Anthony Rapp. R-A-P-P.
Oh, I know who that is. Oh my gosh. So Anthony Rapp, I wrote great voice because I thought he was just some random guy, but now, of course, he has to have a great voice. Now what I want to say, now that I know who he is great villainous delivery.
Yes.
He was scary.
When he gets to his little first song, I was like, it's so short and difficult, but he kills it. I can't imagine anybody doing it better. It's
except for Alan Tudyk.
Except for Alan Tudyk, maybe. Nobody could be more villainous than Alan Tudyk.
He's really scary in Dollhouse.
Unassumingly villainous, yeah. Which is so funny to watch Dollhouse after watching Firefly, and then seeing him get so crazy, which is kind of a spoiler if you haven't seen Dollhouse, but who cares? It's
Sorry, oh gosh. No, I don't want to spoil Dollhouse. That's my favorite
it's fine. No, I know it's your favorite. It's one of mine as well, but seriously, people, if you haven't watched Dollhouse, go watch it.
Oh.
But after watching Firefly, he's like, no, Wash, not my leaf on the wind. Don't be an evil guy. But then he's like, oh, he's the best evil guy. I don't know if anybody could have sung that song better. It's just, he delivers it perfectly.
Yeah, and he also delivers his lines well. I wrote down, when the old man says, isn't that an institution? He goes, not a very good one.
Not a very good one.
His delivery is on point. It's great.
Yeah, he's like, did that really happen? Did people die? One? It was great.
Slightly annoyed. It's so great. And
one.
Yeah. I wrote poor old man, because the old man seems so nice and so kindly, and I spoiler alert, I thought he dies, but he doesn't.
Yeah. And then we get into Anthony Rapp escaping, and then the dynamic duo Sean and Gus called in to figure things out. And then we get into the song I've Heard It Both Ways, which is hilarious. I mean, I've heard it both ways as a reference to something that Sean says on the show all the time. He'll say something wrong or mispronounce something, and then Gus will correct him, and he'll say, I've heard it both ways.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. What a great callback, or a great... I don't know what that is, but great.
Callback would be, I think, technically correct, but I don't know if it's a callback in that Sean almost does it almost every episode, so okay. It's almost par for the course. But there were some weird things in the song. I loved the tango. The tango was great.
Okay, the tango was out of nowhere, though.
I know.
They're doing this, fight dancey thing, but then, then they talk a little bit, and then suddenly they're, dancing together, and I'm like, why is the detective guy actually doing this?
They have a weird relationship. But, I think the tango part of it was just one of those things that grows organically out of acting in the music. Because, the music is very tango-y.
True.
And then they're like, all right, why don't we just tango? Because the music's a tango. We should probably do the dance too, otherwise
also,
it'll be weird.
Here, let's get deep a little bit. Also, maybe it's a metaphor for their relationship through the show. You know, like sometimes you talk about like let's tango, you know, when you say we're gonna fight, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor, like they're tangoing, they're literally tangoing.
Could be. I like it.
That's what it is.
I agree. Way to go, Steve Franks. More symbolism than we even expected.
Man.
But it was good. But except there was the some of the lyrics in it I felt were just kind of lazy and dumb rhyming.
What? Did you write it down?
I did. Like there's one where he's like I can just pull up the lyrics, but like there's one where he's like, unless you're Nova Scotian. Psych the Musical wikia.com.
Like was that supposed to rhyme with notion?
Yeah. Like it's like it's like he wrote himself into a corner and was like, what rhymes with notion?
Ocean?
It's emotion.
Lotion?
It's like
motion?
the feet's
commotion?
already like
Lots
he goes,
of things.
The feet's already set in motion. I feel the crime scene come alive. Drop all your preconceived emotions and notions unless you're Nova Scotian. Like it's
what?
It just seems drop all your preconceived emotions and notions unless you're Nova Scotian. Why?
Scotian?
What does that even mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything. Stop it.
It's just insulting to Nova Scotians.
Sure.
If any Nova Scotians are listening, tweet at us and tell us if you were insulted by that line.
Yes, exactly. They're probably not. They're probably so happy that they're even mentioned because, I mean, how many people live in Nova Scotia? 6?
Now you've insulted them.
Tweet us if you're insulted the second time.
If we've insulted you.
They're just, again, even more happy because they've been mentioned twice. Now 3 times. Yeah, I think that was the only one from this song. No, where at the end where he's like, let's not open any sores. I've heard it right and wrong. Don't dip my thong anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Don't dip my thong? What is that even supposed to mean?
They split the word diphthong and put the word my in the middle.
I was thinking of underwear.
I know, so was I at the beginning. Like when I heard it, and then when I'm reading the lyrics, it's DIPTH.
Yeah, that's kind of clever though.
I guess, but what's the point? Like, I mean, at that exact moment, Lasseter dips Sean. So that's the connection that's the physical connection to the lyrics. But why were the lyrics there in the first place?
What? So what? Was there, like, anything having to do with, like, not being able to rhyme something before because it had a diphthong in it or something?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Weird.
Yours, sores. I don't think so.
Well, there's
there's some gliding vowels in there, but I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Weird. Who cares? It's a TV musical. It's, again, not Sondheim, not Schwartz.
And also, probably didn't think too many people would be paying that much attention to the lyrics. They were probably just like, okay, we're going to have Sean and Detective Dude tango right here, and everyone's going to be freaking out about that, so we could just write whatever we want.
Whereas there's the key grip in the backwards, like, no, in 4 years, somebody's going to do a podcast about this, and they're going to cut this lyric to pieces.
And that key grip's name, Albert Einstein.
Gandhi. All right. Also, Timothy Amundsen, the detective, his baritone is great. He has such a great voice. Good baritone.
I was so impressed.
So his tone on those low notes was gorgeous.
Yeah. I think I do though expect that voice to come out of that man though.
That's true. That is one of those times where
I don't know why, but I didn't expect a bad voice to come out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his voice definitely fits his body. Like, I mean, I've seen people who are like, these tiny little people, and then they have this amazing bass voice, or like a huge person like Pavarotti or something, and he's got this amazing high tenor, his body and face and personality, he's got a great baritone. Like, there's no question about it. There's nothing strange about that. Do you have anything else to say about I've Heard It Both Ways?
What were they exactly singing about? What were they arguing about?
Basically,
one of them said that he ran off like down the road, and then Sean said no, he went into the forest. Okay. Here, I'm just going to challenge the entire premise of the show real quick here. I don't understand why Sean doesn't just, like, why does he have to say he's a psychic?
It's very, very loose plot device stuck at the beginning of the pilot, where basically he keeps calling in tips to the police department that keep resulting in correct arrests.
Uh-huh.
But it's only from stuff he's seen on TV. He sees a news report and then figures out who it is. And so the police actually arrest him, and they're like, you have to be
involved
in some way. And he's like, no, I'm psychic. And then
I mean, I don't know. Gus believes him that he's just really observant, because that's what his trick is. He's just very, very observant. And, like, he's always, like, noticing things, you know, because they get highlighted on the screen, like, objects that he notices. And I don't know why he can't just point those things out.
Because if he does that, it's technically an obstruction of justice, and he could be prosecuted.
Oh, because you have to have, like, an official standing to be able to. I don't know.
No.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. What? But, like, it's because it's very loose. I'm not saying it's a good premise, but, like, it's loose. But it's, again, show doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
it's great.
Can we now get to Yang, because she was my favorite freaking character?
Yes, absolutely. Ali
I have
Sheedy,
a question.
Awesome.
What's her name?
Ali Sheedy. She's
Okay.
She's one of the Brat Pack. She's one of the Breakfast Bunch.
Wait, which one? The goth girl or whatever?
Yeah, the creepy
I've
one.
never seen Breakfast Club. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, I think...
I know.
Oof.
I need to see it. Is it on Netflix? Oh, if it's not on Netflix, I'm not going to see it anytime soon. Anyway, okay. Was she in, like, an episode before? Everyone seemed to know her, and, like,
yes,
she talked about killing John's mom and stuff.
Mm-hmm,
Can you tell me? Can you give me that background? Because I don't know it.
She is in 3 previous episodes. Let me see. Yes. She is in... I think she's in only 3. Maybe more. Doesn't matter. She's in the final episode from Season 3, Season 4, Season 5. She is the yin-yang killer, which eventually in Season 6, I believe, turns out to be 2 different people. Like yin and yang, which is why they call her yang and not yin yang.
Okay.
And so she's this kind of crazy serial killer who we find out is kind of coerced into her serial killings, but is still a serial killer and still pretty crazy. But she's kind of helped Sean and Gus through things because she likes them, and so it's a pretty complicated storyline, but it's one of my favorite storylines. And if you get into Psych, it's a really, really good part of the show.
Well, I will say this speaks to what you said about it being a good one-off episode, because I felt like I had pretty much enough context from that first scene where they meet her to, like, know who she was and what her role was going to be and why they trust her and stuff. So, yeah, she was great, and her little ditty that she sang was cute.
Mm-hmm. Paul Hogan, her accompanist.
Oh.
She says, Paul, she's like, she turns to the karaoke machine's like, Paul, watch the changes. And
okay,
is like,
I thought Paul, I don't, did she make up that name, or was that actually somebody?
Paul Hogan is the Crocodile Dundee guy.
Oh, okay. Because I think
I should be saving these. I should be saving these for our references quiz.
Ah, you should. Ha. When I hear the name Paul Hogan, I think of that lawyer in Wichita who always had those commercials.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: we're both from Wichita.
We're both from Wichita. That's how we know each other.
Yes, I think Ali Sheedy is incredible. And when they're in that guy's office and she keeps, like, stealing stuff, like, blatantly stealing things, it's hilarious. Like, she isn't sneaky at all. She just keeps, like, tucking things in her clothes. And then at the end, when the guy's like, you can't leave, and she's just like, suck it. That's a callback to a lot of different really? Episodes. Yeah, like Sean and Gus will say to each other, "Suck it, no, you suck it, you suck it, you suck it, suck it." And then there's one episode where they both sing. They both sing with harmonies. Suck it, like in this great little thing. It's amazing.
Okay.
And probably ad-libbed, but wonderful.
Oh, that's great. So they eventually go to the old theater
Which is an amazing-looking theater for having been burned 7 years ago.
Yeah. Like, the set pretty much looks like a horror musical set.
It looks better burnt than it did in like, fine. Like, and I was so curious, I even went and looked up Santa Barbara property development, because if nobody has at least sold that building to be renovated or for property, then they're nuts, because it's in Santa Barbara Metro, it's like $500 per square foot. Like, the median price of homes is $1 million in Santa Barbara. Like, who is able to sit on that property? Whatever, doesn't matter.
I think they could, like, write that off with saying, like, oh, people think it's haunted or something.
Yes.
But when this might have been my favorite. No, this wasn't my favorite part. Well, maybe it was. This might have been my favorite part of the show. When they're all in the musical stage, and she's like making them make up a song. Who is the girl who looks like Alicia Silverstone?
That's Juliet. It's oh man, what's her name? But yeah, she does look a lot like Alicia Silverstone. Okay,
I think she's the girl that was in that Disney movie, another Disney movie thing that I watched, about like what is it? Model behavior. Did you ever see this movie?
No.
And like one of them's a model and one of them's like a regular girl, but they look identical, so they switch lives. And Justin Timberlake's in it.
Wow.
It
Maggie
is
Lawson.
Like 90s.
Maggie Lawson is her name.
Yeah, Maggie Lawson. She
was in Pleasantville.
Maybe doesn't. Oh, she was? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, she sang.
And yes, she was in Model Behavior.
Yeah. But what I want to not so subtly say is that I don't like her voice. It was not good.
Neither do I. Not a fan.
Poor girl. She tried, and that is great. That is more than we can say for Allison Hannigan. So.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, it was cute and fine, whatever. But what I really liked about this part is when the detective. What is his character's name?
Lassiter.
When
Sean calls him Lassie.
Oh, okay. Lassiter is singing in this, and of course it sounds great. And then he does this little like
Irish jig.
Yes. Is that a subtle callback to when he was in another Disney movie?
What?
Disney, like, I keep saying these Disney Channel things because apparently that's all I watched as a kid. He was in a Disney Channel original movie, another one, Model Behavior was one, called The Luck of the Irish. And he played...
Is that the basketball one?
The basketball one with the leprechauns. And he was like Lord of the Step or something. And he
was
did
Seamus
like
McTiernan.
Some Irish jig in that. And he like did a little Irish jig in this because that's what I recognize him from always. When I watch this show, I can't get that out of my brain. Because he looks sort of like his face is sort of leprechaun-y. So I didn't know.
I thought it was just a fun little thing that he did.
I mean, if you are an actor and you're in like a TV show that you're a main character on, you're probably not gonna like do a little callback to this Disney movie you were in once.
You don't want to highlight it.
Not Disney. I keep saying Disney movie. It's lower than that. It's a Disney Channel original movie. Like, you're probably not gonna remind and your audience won't even know. So it's probably not. But it made me think of it.
Yeah. He was in 89 episodes of Judging Amy, just to throw that out there.
Oh, okay.
When Yang walks in with 4 balloons and a bag from Melissa's Garden scrapbook supplies, that I would like to call something. I looked this up, and TV Tropes has no listing for this. I would like to call that Chekhov's MacGuffin.
You need to explain that.
Well, it's not a true MacGuffin, which is why it's Chekhov's MacGuffin. You know the term Chekhov's gun, right?
No.
I
know who Chekhov is.
Chekhov's gun is a trope or a device or something where if you show a gun at the beginning of a story, or usually in the first act of the story, if you show a gun, you have to later then use it as a plot point at some point of the story.
Does it apply to not just guns? Like, because I feel like
there's Chekhov's lots of things. There's Chekhov's armory. There's Chekhov's whatever. James Bond does this a lot in everything. Like, James Bond will go down, he'll see Q will give him a watch that can, freeze people or whatever, and then later on that will be the thing.
Used,
that will be the thing that saves him or whatever. Chekhov's MacGuffin, I would like to say, is something where you see something that is blatantly obvious, where she's looking at, these scrapbook supplies or like these crafty things, and then she's later in the police department precinct looking through her little bag of things, and you think that it's going to be used, like maybe she's going to MacGyver it into something to help her escape. But no, when she does escape, it's just because she punched that guy in the head or something. So it's like, it's a MacGuffin in that it should be a plot device, or it looks like a plot device, but isn't. Or it's something there to drive the plot along for no reason. It can be exchanged with anything. So like the suitcase that never opens from Pulp Fiction, or the Maltese Falcon in The Maltese Falcon. It's something that drives the story along, but could be interchanged with anything.
I didn't ever know what she had in the bag.
It was like thread and balloons. It was weird. Nothing.
Well, I knew she had balloons, but...
No,
I just thought she was carrying the bag so they could signify that, like, she went, like, they took her shopping, which didn't make any sense to me. She's, like, a convicted, crazy convict person.
It's, like... Again, show doesn't take it so seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, but I love that song. And another thing where highlights the weirdness of Psych, when Sean's like, does anybody play bass? And the security guard raises his hand, he's like, Officer Ham and Eggs. And it's like, what does that even mean? And like, he starts the thing, and he's like, and Sean's like, I can't believe it's not butter. And then he starts playing the piano. It's like, neither of those things mean anything, Sean. Like, James Roday, you are ad-libbing all over the place.
Can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I don't know.
He goes, does anyone play bass? And then he goes to the piano and proceeds to, like, sing an entire song, basically, without bass. And then he's like, okay, now you play bass. But that was cute. That was very cute.
Yes, it was. I liked that song a lot.
Okay. The next thing I have written, what happens next?
The interlude, they go to basically...
Oh, did they go see a body or something?
No, they go to the new theater where they're producing the Midnight at Whitechapel.
Yeah, and someone dies there, correct?
Yes, the guy kills himself.
Someone falls, yeah.
Yes.
And I wrote very Phantom-esque storyline.
And I wrote, I love organs.
Yeah, and I know that has to be a conscious choice.
Yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
Gonna have a guy hang himself from a play set. And
this is before that.
Accompany it. Wait, when does he do that then?
That's when they go back to the burnt out theater. This is where the guy jumps off the scaffolding and lands on top of the thing. He doesn't hang himself.
Oh, whatever.
He just jumps and falls.
Yeah. Well, no, I think he had a thing around his neck. I don't know. Anyway, it reminded me of Phantom when the Phantom kills that guy.
Right. And then they go upstairs and I can't remember what's his face or what's her face is like, he was literally the Phantom, and Sean's like, Billy Zane? And that was
great. So many of these, I didn't catch that either.
Okay, well, don't we're not going to talk about it, because that is part of the quiz section.
Yes.
But when Gus
I knew there were going to be so many things, because I was catching the things that I didn't understand, but I didn't catch the things that I did understand, which is that he actually said he's the literal Phantom. I thought I was so smart for picking up all the little hidden clues that it's like Phantom of the Opera when they actually just came out and said it. Okay, what use am I?
You have an excuse because you'd never actually seen this before, so I could kind of sit back
and
a lot
to take in.
Let it roll over me while I was taking notes, because I kind of knew how it was going to go already. But when Gus was talking to Barry Bostwick and he's like, this inspector character, could he be a Jamaican? It's like, yeah, if I wanted to lose all my money.
Yeah, I thought that came out of nowhere. Good. Why does he want to be? Is just because he's black?
No, he's Jamaican as well. He's his mom is Jamaican, Dule Hill, I think, or something.
Do they play with his Jamaicanness in the
his
show
Jamaican
at all?
ancestry comes into the show quite a bit. So yeah, they're constantly talking about Gus's Jamaicanness, like. They're always going out for jerk chicken, or Gus is talking about his family's jerk chicken recipes, or what have you. So,
is there more to it than jerk chicken?
No, I think that's the only thing that they reference.
I feel like that's being Let's remind everyone that this character is Mexican. He talks about tacos a lot. Like,
yeah.
Maybe slightly reductive, but okay. Okay, so that's why he says he's Jamaican. Okay,
yes.
Got it.
My next note that I have is when they go down to talk to the actual guy who's playing the detective, and he's like, "Hi, my name is Chris Lamberth," and Gus is like the Highlander? He's like, "No, Lamberth with an H. It's the same thing." It's like, you need to change your name immediately. It's great.
I've never seen the Highlander.
That's okay. That's fine.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Was that going to be one of your pop culture questions?
No.
I feel like we should do the pop culture questions before we go through the thing, because I'm getting all the answers right now.
That's true. But no, I actually have quite a few of them, but it's all right. I would like to say that while later we find out that Sean has the worst Cockney accent you've ever heard in your life, he does have the best Christopher Lambert impression I've ever heard in my life. It's amazing.
I'll have to take your word.
Well, he's like, you need to change your name. Yeah, it doesn't even make any sense. It's like calling yourself Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like, and then Sean's like, besides, there can be only Juan. And like, it's like, I can't even do injustice.
It was almost too bad.
Amazing.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know he was going for Cockney until like several scenes later, or several lines later.
Yes, it's true. No, it sounds awful.
I was like,
absolutely
Are
awful.
you trying to be like Juan? That sounds like.
Oh yeah. No, Christopher Lambert. Christopher Lambert is like Belgian.
Oh.
Like when I'm talking the Cockney accent, I'm talking about like when Sean dresses up as the inspector later on, and he's like, "Oi, Rrrrrrippa, get away from them prostitutes there."
Yes, that's good. That was funny. The Highlander, is that Chris Lambert?
That's Chris Lambert.
Highlander thing?
It's funny because in the Highlander, Chris Lambert he's either French or Belgian or something, and he's cast as this Scottish like guy opposite Sean Connery, who is Scottish, being cast as a Spanish guy.
Oh my goodness.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my, that was probably torture for both. Yeah,
probably.
Of them. Ugh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't get that reference.
That's fine.
I don't know it.
Yeah, and then we leave that stage, and then we go to the autopsy room. Okay, honest opinion. Give me your impression of Woody. What do you think about Woody?
Is that the
coroner,
the doctor that cuts people open? The coroner. It was so brief that I don't really know much about him, except that he's apparently very into, or his ex-wife was like horrible to him or something, but I did not like this part. I was like, this is such a waste of time, and I'm bored.
Yeah.
With that. I was really bored.
I really loved Woody and Yang's interaction, though. I thought it was great. Like the whole like she's very, very funny, and Lasseter like, Woody, she's a killer, and he's like, agree to agree. Like it was really funny, and like that's funny. You get better episodes of Woody earlier on. Like there's this one episode called I have it written down, season 6 episode 2, which is called Last Night Gus, which they do like a mock or a spoof of The Hangover, where Lasseter, Sean, Gus, and Woody wake up, don't know what happened to them last night, and they go around trying to solve this whatever happened last night. And it's really funny. It is. Like a fun episode. I like that episode more than I like the movie The Hangover. Like it's very, very funny. But that's a much better taste of Woody. This one felt weird, and it felt forced. Like
yeah. Like they didn't give me any context for this character, really, or any context for why they were in the coroner's
because they were autopsying the guy who fell. Yeah, the guy who jumped. Yeah. Okay. But then this happens. Like this scene. Something happened that's one of my favorite parts of the first half of the episode is where Sean like tries to sneakily pull Gus away, like puts his hand over his mouth and pulls him away, but it's not sneaky at all. And then they look at this file, and when they're done, Gus just turns to this guy walking down the hallway and is like, "Hey man, take this file." And then they just leave. Like
I thought that was funny too. Yeah, I laughed at that.
I love it. It's like, how do we get from one scene to the next scene while not having this file and not like trying to put the file back where it's supposed to go. They're just like, hey, have this. And then they walk away.
Hand it off to someone.
Yeah, it's great. It was awesome. But yeah, Woody's song was boring to me. He was really nervous about singing, and it showed.
Oh, I didn't think it showed. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really listen to his voice much, but he was like into the creepy acty part of it, so it didn't seem like he was nervous.
Okay, maybe I just thought the song itself was really boring, because it was to me. So then they go back to the police station. And this is another one of those parts where Yang's like playing with her arts and crafts supplies, and I'm like, why? What? I don't understand what's going on with these arts and crafts supplies. And then nothing happens with it, so who cares? But then they get a call from they go to see the actress girl from the fire.
Oh yeah.
And why do
I have written that the next song is "I Hurt No One," which was like an Anthony Rapp thing?
It probably was. Because he was at her house. It was just a quick little thing where Sean meets Anthony Rapp Sean meets Z in the woods, and Z is like, I hurt no one, and Sean's like, I believe you, and then Z punches him in the face.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see Sean have compassion in like sort of a human way, because he doesn't really act like a human ever.
No, it's true. He acts like a cartoon character.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's like in his own world, so it works. But it was kind of nice to see that, and just like, I felt it too. I felt like he was a believable guy because Sean believed him. But it wasn't based on any evidence, which was really interesting to me.
Yeah, he later on, he says, I looked into this guy's eyes. He's talking to his dad, and he says, I looked into his eyes, and I didn't think he did it. Yeah, it was really good.
Isn't that kind of anti-Sean? From what I know, he's like very evidence-based. Like,
he is very evidence-based, but he kind of, he follows his gut, which is funny because most often it goes wrong. Like, the things that are correct are the things where he follows the evidence, and he goes with his gut, and that hunch is usually wrong, but it leads him to the truth type of a thing. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it was right. I loved the shot where they show Sean, and then the guard, and then Yang, and then Gus, all four of them crammed in the back seat of the police car. It was hilarious. I'm like, why did they even take Yang and the security guard? He's like, number one, he's massive. Get a different car for him. And like, what? Why are you even bringing them to this scene? It's not even anything.
Yeah, well, they had to have some way for her to escape. But I want to say about the girl that they go meet at the door. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but the scar on her face, that would not prevent any actress from being cast in a new musical.
Not externally, I don't think. I think it was probably more her hang-up than anybody else's. But yeah, I understand.
Okay. I mean, she shows her face like it's this big reveal, and it's like, well, I can clearly tell that that's like some makeup, and they didn't even really like work to make it 3D or anything.
It was not even raised.
Sort of painted on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, in a musical, if somebody had a scar like that, you would, put some makeup on it.
Cover it with makeup.
Put them on stage, and
or
nobody...
just wipe off the makeup that it clearly is.
Right. Nobody can tell. And then, like, later on, when they get that call, or when they try to break into the house, I have a note here. Oh no, that's for the trivias and tropes. Gus's line where they're both in the house and the girl is just in the towel, and then Gus is like, "You hear about Pluto? That's messed up." That's his that's a callback. Like, it's his go-to pickup line.
Oh, okay.
And it's
that's
funny.
A bad pickup line.
In one episode, Sean even says, "Has that line ever worked for you?" And he's like, "Nah." And like, it's never worked.
Aww.
It's really, really funny.
Aw, poor
so
Gus.
they've done that a lot.
It was funny, even not knowing the callback. I was like, that is out of nowhere, and you're an awkward man.
Yep. And then that's actually the end of the first part. Then they go into part 2, like they do that storybook thing again.
Oh, yeah.
And then it opens back up on, which actually I thought I was going to mention the storybook part for this one. I thought was hilarious because like he's telling the story and turning pages, and then just one page is randomly a dragon, and like he's like, what? And then he turns the next page and it continues on with the story. And then we open on the police station, and Sean gets a call from Yang. And my contention with this is Skype does not show video previews. You just see the profile picture before you accept. because how awkward would that be to get a random call from a stranger and just see like a wiener video preview?
Oh.
That's they specifically.
Well,
they
is it
specifically
better than like clicking through?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like if you see a profile picture, you can say I know this person, accept, right? But if you don't see a profile picture, if it just automatically shows you a video preview, then you can't accept or reject before they show you what they want to show you. Like it goes against.
But Josh, that wastes time when they were trying to cram so much into this poor 1.5 hour.
I know.
special.
This was so much stuff. So much stuff.
But you're right. She's like waving and stuff right up at him, and he hasn't even accepted the call yet.
And the Skype logo takes up about like a fourth of the screen. Like it's enormous. Product
was there
placement
any product placement?
That's
you think happening
probably. I've seen them do like Sean has an iPhone, but they've done a lot of like Windows tablet stuff. So I think and Windows owns Skype. So I think and Windows like touchscreen laptops and stuff like for Windows 8. So I think Windows probably has some kind of a product placement deal with them or with USA in general.
Microsoft, hey, we give us a call.
Yeah. We'll
talk about how we like your products.
Sure. Some of them. Maybe.
We might lie.
Maybe try again with Windows 8. Let's skip on to 10. See what happens there. Yeah. And then like my next note is this is the second time Sean very unsneakily grabs Gus to pull him to the office.
Oh, this was so great. This was my favorite part. I scratched what I said when I thought I heard it both ways was good. This was my favorite part of the entire freaking thing. This was so hilarious.
Yeah. Why? What specifically? Explain the scene and what was funny to you.
Okay, so there, how there's like slapstick, silent background comedy, and that's often funny to me. This was especially funny, and I guess it's because they were like singing and dancing to the phone. And like not knowing what they were saying, but just like seeing them dance was hilarious to me.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, it's very funny. I thought it was very, very great. And like the juxtaposition of Sean trying to grab Gus sneakily, pull him into this other private office, but still leaving all of the blinds open, and that everyone can see. Yeah, they're like
clearly unaware that there's a meeting going on outside where if they're moving around a lot, everyone's gonna be able to see them, but only like 2 people see them.
Right, and they don't even care. Like that's the issue. They're like Sean and Gus are trying to be sneaky, but nobody cares. Like they're consultants, and they're not even very well thought of. Like, who cares what they're doing? Nobody.
Yeah.
Let's get back to actual police work. So I thought that was hilarious. And then the next note that I have is no knife could cut that rope, which I assume
okay.
is
all right.
jumping way ahead to...
let's not skip there.
Sure.
Because I want to say, does the song with the head police lady, the like chief police lady, happen in the office?
It does.
Between that time?
It does.
Okay. I love her voice.
She's great.
She was great. Yeah, she I think might have the strongest voice of everyone in the show.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. That's wrong. I mean, not that part. Not your opinion. What I said.
I'm sorry. She doesn't have a good voice. Goodbye, you're out of the podcast.
She sings at the very end of part 1. It's I've heard it both ways, Santa Barbara Sky's reprise that she sings.
Oh, okay. Well, she was great.
She is great. I agree.
She kind of steals the show to me.
Kind of knocks it out of the park. And like when she's doing it all while being held up by those 2 cops with the thing,
yeah.
and it was really fun. I like her. I wish they would have given her more to do.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like also with that Woody guy, like she's not really that integral to any plot that's happening, but it's like a staple character of the show, so you need to put them in.
Right.
So then that's what they did. But I'm glad they gave her the songs and stuff they gave her, because she was able to show off,
Yeah.
I wonder if do you know who that is? I wonder if she has like a music theater or singing background. I'm looking it up. You go ahead, I'm looking it up.
Okay, well, we move on to Yang gives Sean a clue after their little song and dance number in the office. That's what it was for. Like, they were dancing and singing for her so that she would give them a clue. And she does, and so they go back to the theater hall, the burnt out one, and they're all looking around and doing stuff, and then this guy in a mask swings in, very Phantom-esque, and starts to hang Sean. Like, he hangs him and is down on the main stage, like holding this rope on this pulley system, right? And has a knife, I think. No, Yang has a knife for some reason, and then Yang cuts the rope, and that's where my note is: no knife could cut that rope that quickly. I mean, that's like a climbing rope, and it's on a pulley system, and the whole point of pulleys is to, decrease the amount of force that you have to use to pull this thing. Decreased force means decreased tension, so the knife is not going to be able to cut that thing.
Maybe it's the kind of ropes that they were using in the Spider-Man musical that caused all those
Yes,
accidents.
Probably.
It's just like a really crappy rope.
It's the same place that the coyote gets all of his rope from.
Okay, question about the police. What's her name in the show?
Chief Vic. Karen Vick, played by Kristen Nelson, is her actual name. And then she cuts the rope. Sean falls. The bad guy and Yang fall over.
That was intense. He was like actually getting hung.
It was pretty intense. Yeah, it was one of the it doesn't happen often, but when it does, whenever Sean's actually in actual peril, you're like, I know he's not going to die, but this is crazy, And so then they fall, and Yang somehow gets stabbed, and the bad guy runs away, and then she starts to die and sees the light.
Okay.
What do you think about this song?
Okay, I thought this song was ridiculous, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I also thought she's dying, yes, but she's been stabbed, right? So it should take a while for her to actually expire. So what Sean needs to be doing is not like being by her side and singing her a song.
He needs to be calling 911.
Ambulance.
Yeah. I mean, unless she was somehow
I was so thrown off by that.
It was a little ridiculous. Like, unless she was stabbed in the heart or in the liver, and even then, that's not a big deal. Or in both kidneys at the same time. I mean, this isn't medieval faking. England. We can figure it out. It's not it's a stabbing. It's not, she wasn't cleaved by a broadsword. But I did love the song, particularly because of the guy. Jimmy Simpson is amazing. He's hilarious. He plays a character named... Oh, what's his name? It's a girl's name. Anyway, he's in every Yin Yang episode because he is the foremost, or was, Mary Lightly is his name. Mary Lightly. He was the foremost expert on Yin and Yang, the Yin Yang killer, before Yin kills him in the last episode that we saw him.
And that's why there's another full circle.
Right. And he had this kind of weird fascination, you could call it love, of Yang. And Yang has this psychology. Yang has a very interesting and complicated psychology, but one of the things is she loves to be loved, right? And because she didn't receive any of it as a child, type of a thing. And so she had a real interesting connection with him. And so that was a really, really great moment there. And when he takes off that robe and he's wearing a racquetball uniform, that's a callback. That's a callback when he was dying in Sean's arms. The last thing he says to Sean, he calls Sean down. He's like, listen, Sean leans his ear down, and Mary Lightly's like, do you think there's racquetball in heaven? And then he dies.
Oh, what a good callback.
I know, it's great. But also, he's just, as a side jog, he's amazing on House of Cards Season 2 and 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the hacker guy, and he's great.
I think I thought that song was so bizarre because I didn't actually believe that she was dying. It didn't feel as tense as when Sean was being hung. Yeah, and it felt like a joke, mostly because there was so much room for Sean to call an ambulance, but he made this choice to like sing a song to her instead, that I was like, nah, she's not actually dying. And she's also like this playful person and she also, doesn't she like halfway wake up? Like she's like sort of dying and he tries to sing something and she like wakes up and says something like, keep singing or something.
I don't remember that
I think she
part.
fakes him out. And so like, yeah, so that song was happening and I was like, what? And she's like going to hell maybe? It was bizarre to me.
Yeah, it was strange.
Okay, but I found some stuff on Kirsten, Chief Police Lady. Mm-hmm. I have not found anything about her background in music at all. So if she just pulled that out of nowhere, kudos.
Yeah, for real.
But I do want to say that she was on some show called Buffy. I don't, whatever. But anyway, she played the Meat Palace manager.
Yeah, I remember that. She's the chicken lady. Because we watched.
Henceforth she shall be known.
So let it be written. Laura and I went back and watched Buffy again recently after we had seen Psych, and we're like, hey, that's Chief Vic. What's she doing as the manager of the Chucklehead or whatever? All right.
Again, show I've never heard of.
Are you literally just pretending that you've never heard of Buffy so that we get to that episode? All right. Well,
listen.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Sure.
Josh.
What?
Josh, it's a bit. You gotta
commit to the bit. And a great yes and.
Yeah, you gotta yes and me with this bit.
Okay.
Do you want to tell people who this Laura is that you mentioned?
Oh, Laura's my wife.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! The last note I have for the walkthrough is second occurrence of the best accent ever, which is Sean's Ripper accent.
Oh. So you, like me, were then suddenly sucked into the show and stopped taking notes. Because I stopped taking notes after Yang died.
Yep.
Because so many twists were happening.
Yes,
I was real impressed with that.
Lots of twists.
Sort of storytelling, yeah. That was cool.
But, I mean, basically all that happens is they go to the new theater show.
Uh-huh. Because they think he's going to be there.
They think he's going to be there. He isn't, or they find him back at the original theater. They find out that the new theater director had stolen the script from him, and then they had fought with the
I
thing
gotta say,
and whatever. Just
watch
the episode.
All the twists. I liked all the twists, but I had a hard time keeping track of like everyone's motivation because. Sean explains it, but he's, like, singing also at the same time.
Yes, it's true. Like... His whole wrap-up is done in song, and it's kind of hard to follow. Because it's also, his whole wrap-up is done in song while he's hiding on stage in front of a crowd of people. Like, it's singing, like, doing a part that he's never done before. That he's ad-libbing, So...
Yeah, so I thought that was funny when he ad-libbed the part. I don't know why they didn't immediately make it Gus, though. I don't know why Sean decided he was going to be the inspector.
I think it was just because he was already there.
Okay.
Because he was already confronting the guy. But...
Let's talk about Gus in the spotlight.
Oh my goodness. Amazing.
I wanted more. I so wanted more, and I wanted it in tap shoes.
I know.
In fact, that's all I wanted for this entire thing. Is just
Gus in tap shoes.
Hill tapping.
More of it.
I want to watch hour and 40 minutes.
I want to watch the actual show for Ripper. And I just want it to be Gus in tap shoes. Forget everything else.
With that ridiculous, like, Sherlock Holmes smock.
Yes, his whatever you call it. I don't know the front thing, but the hat.
Jacket? Is that what that is?
Houndstooth.
Houndstooth. But it's not that, is it?
The houndstooth is just the pattern. I'm not sure what the actual jacket is called, but the hat is called a deerstalker.
Deerstalker.
Yes. It was great. I loved how he came on and he's just like, he starts his little thing, Jamaican Inspector Man from Kingston to London town, and then he just clams up. Nothing. And then he just starts tapping very nervously, doing his patented Dule Hill nervous face. It's great. If it isn't patented, it should be patented. Because it's amazing.
And then, while he's doing his amazingness, like, we get the awkwardness at the beginning, but then it shifts to, like, let's follow Sean following these guys. One is about to kill the other, which, admittedly, is, like, the point of the show. But no, I wanted to stay on Gus, because later he comes back and he's like, I started off a little shaky, but then I really nailed it. And I'm like, oh, we didn't even get to see the part where you nailed it.
Yeah.
But okay. So, they find Anthony Rapp in the basement, and he's going to kill that guy with just a knife. He's doing this with just a knife.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that guy might have put up more of a fight, but whatever. And then they get him to stop because Sean says he believes him, which is very nice and sweet.
That is very nice and sweet.
But then they take him away in cuffs. So what happens to that guy?
I assume he gets tried and goes to jail.
Great for him. Great ending for him.
Yeah.
He didn't kill anybody, ever.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he was an accessory to manslaughter. It wouldn't be murder because it was an accident, but he was an accessory to manslaughter and then tried to cover it up. So, I mean, there's enough stuff to get him, probably 10 to 20.
He was an accessory to which manslaughter?
The manslaughter of the first guy, the art critic, the theater critic.
No, he passed out. He was totally unconscious of
no, I'm not talking about Z. I'm talking about the guy who had the knife to his throat.
Yeah, I was talking about Z. What happens to Z?
Oh, Z, I assume, just gets taken back to the police precinct and processed and then let go. I mean, because I'm sure he has to make statements or whatever, but we have basically a confession from the other guy, so there's no district attorney is going to try to.
But I mean, they cuffed him. Like, they took him away in cuffs.
They have to. They have to, though.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't talk about when the girl died. Not Yang.
Yeah, the first actress.
She died.
Yeah.
There is a huge lack of sympathy.
It's true.
It's just like, well, she's dead.
And I'm wondering if part of that is because it was.
Doesn't look good for our Z guy.
Yeah, I'm wondering if part of that is just because it was done in song, and maybe they're just not used to emoting through song. But also the lyrics didn't really give.
Sang then, though.
Yeah, they did. Lassiter was like what did he say? The only.
Oh, was that like an I've Heard It Both Ways reprise or something?
It was. He's like, the only redeeming part of this is that sad look upon your face or whatever like that. And I just don't think the lyrics gave rise to much sympathy.
Yeah, because they protected her and they were trying so hard to like have her let them in her house, to talk and help solve this so she could stay safe because they thought he was after her and stuff. And then it's like, oh crap, she's dead.
Yep.
Okay, and then at the very end we get Gus singing Jamaican Inspector, which was pretty funny.
Pretty great. And so that's the episode. It was good. It was long. But it felt like they were still trying to cram a ton of stuff in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was...
It was ambitious.
Yeah, it was very ambitious. And I don't know if that was because they were trying to get everyone a good amount of screen time or a good amount of songs or whatever, or if it was just too big a project. And I think it worked. It just felt a little rushed, but still long. It still felt long as well. It's kind of a weird
well, and
duality
it's also
there.
because, I mean, you, having watched so much Psych, are probably used to a shorter episode, because this was how long, and how long is a normal episode?
It was 2 40-minute episodes, basically, and then back to back. It was broadcast back-to-back as well, where a normal episode is 40 minutes plus commercials.
Yeah, so that probably contributed to it, because you're like, I'm not used to seeing this one storyline for this long of time on this show.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
Because for me, it just kind of, I had no idea it was 2 40-minute episodes till you told me later.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, well, summary over. Now, it is time for a little point of the podcast where I call it Track That Reference.
And I groan because A, I hate the name, and B, I get quizzed on things I don't know the answer to.
Hooray! For everyone except Kayla. But it's okay. It'll all come full circle. When we do an episode where you have more experience, you'll get to create dumb questions for me.
Ha!
Okay. Psych is very famous for Sean calling Gus lots of weird things. Like, whenever he'll say something, Gus will say something negative, and Sean will be like, Gus, don't be this crevice in my arm. Gus, don't be exactly 1/2 of an 11-pound Black Forest ham. Or stuff like that. Or when he introduces himself, he'll say, I'm Sean Spencer, and this is my friend, blah, blah, blah. In this episode, he makes a lot of different references. We'll start out easy and ramp up the hardness. So A, he says, this is my friend Lil Wayne. What is this in reference to?
I don't know what you want me to say. It's in reference to Lil Wayne.
Good. Who is Lil Wayne?
He's a rapper.
Good. See, that was a easy lob across the plate. That was an easy one. Okay, next. Getting a little harder. He says, Gus, don't be a modern Major General.
I knew you were going to ask me about this one because Modern Major General is from a Gilbert and Sullivan musical called Pirates of Penzance, not HMS Pinafore, which are practically
the same.
Interchangeable.
Yes, exactly right. I was holding my breath there. I was like, which is from, don't say HMS Pinafore. Pirates of Penzance. Nice. Okay, good. Next. He says, I'm Sean Spencer, and this is my friend King Mongut. And Gus says, etc., etc.
That was King and I.
Good.
Which is fun, because we're referencing musicals. I don't know where the Lil Wayne reference fits in.
Because he's a musician, I guess? I don't know. Okay. And then he's like, I'm Sean Spencer, and this is my friend Gigi Von Tron. And Gus corrects him and says, Van Tren.
It's a show?
It's a character from a show.
It's a character from a show. Gigi, can I have a hint?
She's a stripper.
A show with a stripper on it?
No, a musical.
A musical with a stripper on it? Gigi Van Tran? Gigi?
It's a little older.
With a stripper on it? The only show that I can think with a stripper on it is Rent.
Nope, older than that.
That's Mimi.
I've never actually seen the show. Maybe Wikipedia was being nice and maybe she's a prostitute.
Can you tell me like when the musical came out? Or something about like who wrote it if it's not too much of a giveaway?
Sure, yes, I can do both of those things. It came out, it started on the West End in 1989.
Okay, so it's an English musical, probably.
Music by Claude Michel Schoenberg. Schoenberg. Lyrics by Elaine...
Sweet Charity?
Nope. Lyrics by Elaine Boublil and Richard Maltby Jr.
Was anyone famous ever in it?
Probably some British people. Let's see.
Did you know this one?
I've heard of the musical, but I've never seen it.
Did you have to look up this reference?
I did have to look up this reference, yes.
Okay. Then I don't know.
It is Miss Saigon.
Oh, I've seen that show. Gigi what?
Gigi Van Tren, or Von Tren. Tren is spelled Trenh.
Okay. Is that a main character?
Gigi Von Tren, a hardened Saigon stripper, initially voted as Miss Saigon. She is a major character.
Wow, that is a deep cut. Because I feel like she's in the opening number and then never seen again.
Again, I've never seen the show. And then the last one, Sean says, Gus, don't be kites upon strings.
Yep. That's in a reference to something, and that's all I know. But I feel like that's a lot, because, that could blow by someone really easily.
Also, false. It is not in a reference to anything, but I thought the exact same thing. I spent 30 minutes looking it up. It was a trick question. It's not a reference. But I spent 30 minutes looking it up because I definitely thought it was a reference. And the only thing I could find on Google was Psych.
That is mean. By both you and by Psych.
I agree. I was like, thank you for wasting 30 minutes for me, Psych. And I was thinking, like, is it just a very oblique reference to Mary Poppins?
That's what I was thinking.
Or is it like an obscure, like, lyrical change of favorite things? Because it could definitely be in favorite things.
Don't be kites upon strings. That sounds like something from, I don't know, like Virginia Woolf or something.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything. Listeners, anyone, tweet us if you figure out what it is. Good luck.
Don't spend 30 minutes.
Don't spend 30 minutes.
Google it once.
So those are all the things that Sean calls Gus. All right, next, the institution is called Willowbrook.
Oh, that's a reference to something.
Mm-hmm. Not musical related.
Is it TV show related?
Nope. It is. Sorry, I think either you know it or you don't. For some of these, and that's not your fault. It's mine for creating ridiculous questions. It's a reference to actually a terrible children's institution in New York, back in the 20s or 30s through the 80s.
No one's gonna know that.
I know, but I looked it up because I
up,
knew it was a reference to something. It had to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a terrible institution and was actually eventually shut down for being terrible.
Do you think the writers actually knew these things off the top of their heads, or they were like, "Oh, we need a name for an institution. Google. How about this one that went belly up and had crazy children running around?"
Maybe. I don't know. Probably. But again, when Z makes a reference to, or says it's not a very good one, I have a feeling they looked up terrible institutions and then picked a name out of those. Okay.
Sorta.
The next one, 4, Sean says, we have to go into the woods.
I thought you said these were going to get harder.
Oh, just for those first references.
Okay. Maybe Into the Woods.
The
Wrong. Musical by Stephen Sondheim.
Wrong. No,
you're
right.
Lying.
Yes, I am. I'm right. We were both in that musical together, by the way. When Sean says Billy Zane.
Billy Zane.
Yes. Oh, that's your answer.
Who that is.
Well, Juliet says.
Oh, Billy Zane. Billy Zane, I feel like is the actor or the character who's the bad guy in Wax On, Wax Off in the Karate Kid. Am I right?
No. I don't think so.
Okay, I pulled that out of nowhere then. Billy, bad guy. It might be Billy Zane. Who's Billy Zane that you're talking about?
Billy Zane that I'm talking about is Billy Zane. I mean, he's...
I don't know.
Billy Zane was the titular character in the movie The Phantom.
Oh, no. Okay, so the character that I was thinking of is named Johnny, but it's Billy Zabka.
Ah, who I don't know.
Billy Zabka is the actor.
Johnny. Yep. He was in nothing I've seen besides... No, he was in Psych. He was in an episode of Psych. That's funny. Okay, well, I'm sure that they made a lot of references
all along.
to Karate Kid on that episode of Psych, because they also did have an episode of Psych, 2 episodes, in fact, with Ralph Macchio on it, and they made a ton of Karate Kid references. It was great. Billy Zane was the actor who played the Phantom in the movie The Phantom, having absolutely nothing to do with the musical Phantom of the Opera.
So Phantom, is it The Phantom or Phantom?
I think it's just Phantom. No, it's The Phantom.
Okay, because there's another musical called Phantom. I can't remember if Andrew Lloyd Webber actually might have written it.
I don't know. But The Phantom was a 1996 movie with Billy Zane and Christy Swanson.
So Phantom is a musical written music and lyrics by Maury Yeston, and it was overshadowed by the success of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical.
I wonder why.
Isn't that sad?
It's not sad. I have said this before on many occasions. I feel like if you pull out about the middle half an hour of Phantom of the Opera, I would love it.
Oh, why don't you like the middle half an hour? What's going on there?
I'm bored with it.
When they're just trying to figure out what the Phantom's gonna do next?
Basically. When they have that weird masquerade thing. I don't know.
Masquerade! You don't like that?
I don't like it. I don't.
It has some cool little philosophical quips. That
I know.
Faces on parade.
I know, but I don't like it.
Okay. Well.
I don't know why. I just get bored with it in about the middle. Maybe it's because the opening is so incredible that it overshadows the middle part.
Listen to these words. These words are masquerade, paper faces on parade, hide your face so the world will never find you, right? And we have the Phantom of the Opera, and so they're hiding their faces, but they don't actually have to, but he does.
I agree that it's very symbolic. I'm saying the music itself, I'm just not a fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The costuming usually for that scene is awesome. I usually am a huge fan of the costumes for that scene if it's a halfway decent show, but I don't know, for some reason I just find the middle bit a little boring. But it's fine. It's my hang up. It's not the show's hang up. Okay, and the last one, when they're talking to Barry Bostwick and the new actress comes up and she's like, blah, 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 something. And Barry Bostwick's like, thank you, Janet. And she's like, Audra. And he's like, damn it. What is that a reference to?
Is that a reference to Rocky Horror?
It is a reference to Rocky Horror. Yay! He played Brad in the original Rocky Horror. And he sang Damn It, Janet.
That's great.
Yep, I thought it was really
catch
funny.
That when I was watching.
I didn't catch it the first time because I thought he was just getting... I thought what it was... looking back, that Janet was the original actress, but it wasn't. But I thought it was, and then it was like, later on we find out that he's had so many affairs with young actresses that it was just a one-off joke, like, he was confusing her with another young actress that looks the same. They're all interchangeable stuff.
He says, damn it, like, pay attention to what I'm saying now, everyone. Damn it.
Right, exactly. And which is why I caught it the second time, even though I'm not very familiar with Rocky Horror. I've seen it once a long time ago.
We'll have to watch it.
Yes, that would be great. It could be one of our special episodes, since it's a movie.
Cool.
Moving on to trivia and tropes.
Okay.
Do you have any?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know we had to prepare anything.
No, it's totally me. I just started, like, when I was taking notes, I came up with like 5 or 6 that I was like, oh, I want to talk about these, and then it was kind of, I put it in the show doc, but I think I accidentally put it in my private show doc. So
okay. All right. Well, I didn't see it, but I do want to say what I was looking for and sort of noticing throughout. Maybe this is like not really tropes, but themes. So like what? Let's maybe list all of the themes that we sort of heard. Not theme as in like a really narrow definition of like this is the theme from Phantom of the Opera, but like. Okay, so like in that opening, they talk through like a vamp, you know? And that reminded me of a style, and I was trying to think. It reminded me of Beauty and the Beast, actually. You know,
where it's almost a big
song,
expository.
But then there's whenever there's expository dialogue, there's like a vamp through it. It reminded me of Beauty and the Beast, but that's got to be in other musicals and stuff too. But it might be like a. It didn't really smack of like Gilbert and Sullivan to me. It didn't really smack of Rodgers and Hammerstein to me.
No, but you're right. I have seen it before, especially with like big numbers of people who aren't supposed to know each other. You know what I mean? Like people where like they're walking through a township or whatever and they're singing a song and then the two main characters stop to have a conversation or a character monologues and people are dancing and singing in the background or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That was like it all looked and
it
sounded like Beauty and the Beast. She really is a funny girl.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, I don't know, maybe it was a callback to that, like, Sean is sort of a pariah in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's great.
But anyway.
Also...
Yeah, and so, like, what else did you notice? Because I've got a couple more.
The tango number reminded me of something, and maybe
it reminded me of Tango Marine from Rent.
Yes.
But maybe that's just because it's a tango.
Tango, which is exactly what I came to the conclusion. I was like, am I hearing it from something else, or am I just hearing it because it's generic tango music? And I think that's what I landed on, was it's just basic generic tango music.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't really find anything specific other than the Z's Lament felt kind of Sondheim-y in that it was very halfway between
Sondheim.
Yeah, very halfway between sing, song, and dialogue. You know, it's very expository, like even more than just lyrically. Its delivery, its musical progression is telling a story. It's not just music to be pretty. It's conveying expository dialogue and emotion to help sell the scene. And I wish it would have been longer.
Mm-hmm. I do too. And I really got that, especially from his line, something, something, I hurt no one.
Yeah.
That was really like, okay, this feels it felt Sondheim, but it also felt like, maybe it was just Sondheim.
Yeah.
We're going to be tested on our
knowledge. I know.
Here, which really, I mean, is maybe deeper than average, but probably not deeper than the people listening to the podcast.
Hopefully not, but probably.
But yeah, I caught that too. That felt like a theme to me. The only other one I can think of is whenever there's like activity going on, like something dramatic is happening now, it was Phantom. It was just straight up Phantom of the Opera. This is what we are doing.
There's not too many things that can punctuate a scene better than a huge organ chord.
Huge organ blast, yeah, true.
Yeah.
And also, it kind of fit in with the Jack the Ripper, because I felt like Jack the Ripper was pretty much like a Phantom of the Opera / Sweeney Todd.
Yes, I agree. Very Sweeney Todd. The set itself felt very much like every production of Sweeney I've seen.
Or like maybe even like Oliver.
Yeah, just gross. basically.
Yeah. Dirty London.
Dirty London. Dirty 1800s London. So yeah, like we can talk about the trivia and tropes. We've already talked about the storybook opening, right? That's a trope. Yep. They kind of turn it on its head a little bit by making it ridiculous, but it's still a trope. I've already talked about all of that. When Sean holds up the cast list includes Adam Cohen, who's the composer of all the music, Steve Franks, cute. And it also has a choreographer, but I can't remember their name and stuff. And one trope that I ran into here, which annoys me a lot whenever anybody does it, people breaking down doors incorrectly.
The deconstructing of that trope.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Well, I mean, like, it's awesome. But the thing is, it should never work. Like, you can't. It's so hard to break down a door with your shoulder. But Z does it at the beginning of the show.
Right, but they say that comes back to them though.
It does. It does come back to them, and then
So that I liked that. I really liked how it was like, let's deconstruct this trope and have it be a major plot point.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, but it still annoys me when anybody does it. Like, it's not hard to not know. To know not to do that. Anyway. Dumb. Next. DDR. What's DDR, Kayla? Dance DDR Revolution.
Dance Report.
Oh.
However, we've talked a lot about the dancing. So I guess to sum up, Gus, yay. Everyone else, meh.
Yeah, I have down later my reports, my for ratings for dancing. A+ for Gus, B- for everyone else.
Sean does okay.
He does fine.
Sean also does okay with singing.
Yes, he does. It's very good. He's very expressive. Like, he's really good at emoting through the music. Yes, which is tough to do if you're not like really familiar with it. Like,
but I feel like if you're a good actor, you should be able to continue to act while you're singing.
It's
Especially
true,
since this wasn't like a live singing show.
Right, and I bet it's a lot easier for actors who then sing than it is for singers then to act. You know, because the temptation to sing beautifully overrides your commitment to the character sometimes. I'm running into that kind of with the musical that I'm in now, because my character is a terrible person, and
you don't want to act like him.
And I don't want to act like him, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be very fun, but still, like, the way I alter my speaking voice a fair amount and give him a weird accent for the speaking parts, and so finding a balance between sounding not terrible while singing, but also having the character come through is challenging. And so I applaud James Roday for doing that, because it's a lot harder than it looks.
Cool.
Do you want to move on to ratings, since we've already really talked about the dancing a lot?
Yeah, let's rate the thing.
Music.
So I rate the music out of 10. Are we doing it?
Sure.
Man, there were ones that I liked and there were ones that I hated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I guess this probably will also include singing in it. So that was also kind of a 50-50 for me. Some characters were great, some characters were not so great. So I'm going to give it... I'm sorry if anyone thinks this is harsh. I'm going to give it 6 out of 10.
Okay, I was going to give it a 6, and I thought I was going to be harsh. Yeah, it's not because every song is a 6, it's because...
Yeah, exactly.
A song is either an 8 or a 9 or a 2. Like,
also, I think we've discussed the lyrics and how we were sort of unimpressed with them throughout.
A lot of them are pretty lazy.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt meh. Yeah, it's a big part. And a lot of them I felt like there was just too many lyrics, especially in the fast songs where it's like, okay, yes, we appreciate that you're putting a lot of lyrics in them, and that's cool, but if I don't hear them, then what's the point? You know, like, except for the song When You're Making Up a Song, there are lots of lyrics in there, and that was on purpose, because he's like, you just jam as many syllables as you can and go along, like, you know, it's like he's doing it on purpose, and that's he's doing it for a reason, so that makes sense.
But I feel like the sort of sparkly writing that the show was known for didn't really make it into the song lyrics. Like,
right.
It was still present in the interaction between Sean and Gus.
Yes.
And, you know, elsewhere in the show, but it didn't make it into the song lyrics, which was disappointing.
And I think that a lot of that is probably to do with both James Roday and Dule Hill's prodigious ad-libbing. Like, because they do a lot of ad-libbing in the show. Probably less than you would assume. Yeah, exactly. Probably less than people would assume, but more than I would expect from a cable television show. I mean, you just have to assume that a lot of those lines, like "Officer Ham and Eggs," are just complete one-offs from James Roday. I mean, like, when you watch shows like Community, and you watch if you watch the bloopers, and they're talking, like, when Donald Glover and Danny Pudi Danny Pudi's dressed like Batman, and he's like, can I ask you something I always wanted to ask a real Batman? He's like, yeah. Are you my uncle? And, like, they're just
that outtake is one of the greatest.
So great.
Parts of the show, even though it's not actually part of the show.
I know, it's so funny. It's like, Troy? And then they go in for a hug, and Donald Glover's like, are we gonna kiss now? Like, it's so great. I love it. And so
get back on that show, Donald Glover.
We'll talk about that when we get to our Community episode. But I'm already anticipating tears. From me, not from you. Dancing, yeah. A+ for Gus, B- for everybody else.
Yeah. Everyone else sort of made an effort. Julie, or whatever her name is supposed to be.
Juliet.
The girl.
Nothing.
Juliet. Got probably the least amount of everyone.
Yeah.
But, bless her little heart. She
tried.
She tried. She committed, and that is great for her.
She's a really good actress, and it comes through in the rest of the show. But I just felt like they didn't give her a ton to do here.
Yeah. So I really liked Gus, but also I was impressed with Lassiter.
Yes. Great.
He was pretty good all around.
Yep. I would have to say, in this episode, him and Yang were probably my top 2 favorite characters in this episode.
Yeah, Yang was great.
Other than Gus. I mean, Gus is the best, but...
Gus, the singing, Dulé Hill, clearly he was a dancer, not like a music theater triple threat.
Yeah, exactly. Again, not everyone can be NPH.
I would say Sean is way better in the singing department than Gus. That opening number, Sean really nails it.
He does.
What's his name?
James Roday.
James Roday. He has actually some sort of high sustained notes that he has to kind of belt, and they're pretty good.
Good tone. He's got some good tone. It's fine. Dulé Hill is solid. He would be a lot better if he worked on his tone. It comes through a little nasally.
Yeah, and he sing talks, which is true. Perfectly fits.
Right, exactly.
It's fine.
It comes through with the character.
Yeah.
So for everything all told, I think I would give it, with the story and everything, 7 out of 10 kerosene lamps.
Why use kerosene lamps? That was good. I'll give it 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 fake makeup scars.
It's basically an entire face of makeup scars.
No.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, our next section is Who Could Make It, and I want to say Anthony Rapp first. I said it first.
Yeah. So, okay, what about a total rating for everything?
Oh, that was my total rating, 7 out of 10.
Your total rating was 7 with everything. Okay,
I think
so. My total rating then, because I like putting in like the jokes and everything that was not having to do with music or dancing, I'll bump it up to a 6.5.
But I agree. Like, because it being a musical episode, you expect the music to be a lot better. For me, what bumped it up to a 7 was Gus's dancing and just the all-around character of Yang. I love her so much. She's amazing.
But they killed her!
I know they did, and that was dumb. It would probably be a 7.5. Well, this show's over, basically, so. There was only one season after this one.
You're right. This was, like, really late.
Yeah, this is quite late. They did I think it was a 12-episode 8th season, and then they were done.
All right. Cool. So, Who Could Make It is our next topic here. So this is Who Could Make It on Broadway, basically, or just, who was impressive, who was very impressive here. And I say, well, okay, yeah, fine. Anthony Rapp is a great choice and an obvious one. He again still has a great voice and it's great acting, and he did everything great. You're great, Anthony. You're great.
Come on the show.
Give us a call. But I say Gus could make it dancing because he has before, Dula Hill. Mm-hmm. But I say I still love the police chief lady.
Oh, she's so good. I wish she was in other stuff more.
She could play, like, what's a good part she could play? I feel like she could play the secretary in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
Yeah.
Like one major woman part in that show, mm-hmm. besides the main love interest girl.
I'm trying to think of something else. I mean, I've never really seen her in anything else, so I don't know what her range is. But I would love to see her in something kind of off the wall. Like, I'd love to see her as the landlady in Les Mis.
Oh.
And just see her do Master of the House, you know? Mm-hmm. Just something strange where it's she has to play a completely different character. Because I really have never seen her in anything besides that one episode of Buffy and this. So I have no idea. And then this one, she's very very
I don't know.
stable.
I feel like she's very... I don't know what kind of range she has either, but I'm inclined to keep her in that range that I've seen, which is like this sort of stiff, authoritative figure. And so I think of like Madame Morrible from Wicked.
Oh, yeah. That would work.
That's what comes to mind, but she might have the range to be Master of the House.
The House. Yeah. I think James Roday could do something. I mean, he
could do something.
He's big.
Right.
Like his personality is big enough to encompass half the stage. Like
if he was able to put on like an innocent persona, he could be the lead in Book of Mormon, maybe.
Oh yeah, just kind of like a little bit oblivious.
And I don't know
to the world around him.
But the reason I say that is because I don't know that part takes a whole lot of like vocal ability, you know, like technique.
It's true. It's belty, but it's not like super dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a role that does take a lot more vocal technique, but that is sort of like Sean, the character that he plays, the main character from Urinetown.
I don't think I've never seen Urinetown.
They're sort of similar. You would love Urinetown.
We may need to add it to the list.
I don't know how to get a copy or a hold of that somehow. If anyone knows, let us know. Josh needs to see that.
I need to see Urinetown. Or if you live in South Korea, put on a production. Maybe I'll watch it.
Anywhere in South Korea.
Maybe I'll join it. Well, I mean, South Korea isn't that big. I can drive, or I can walk. Probably. Okay. I can ride my bike. Yeah, and
all right.
That's
who could make it.
That's who could make it. Ba-na-na-na.
But we should say the things that we need to say to end this, which are, you can find us at
podcastthemusical.com. You can find us at podcastthemusical.com. 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 You can also find us on Twitter at Podcast Musical, since Podcast the Musical was too long. Podcast Musical. And also at Facebook.com/Podcast the Musical. Or just search Podcast the Musical on Facebook and you should be able to find our page.
You can also email us?
Yes, you can also email us at either of our names.
I am Kayla.
And I am Josh, both spelled the normal ways. At podcastthemusical.com. I will redirect straight to our Gmail. And we'll get everything that you say. Don't bother emailing us dumb stuff or mean things, because then we will block you.
And you will not have succeeded. Next time, we are going to watch the musical episode of Fringe.
Yes.
If you did not know, Fringe was a show on Fox, I believe.
The spiritual successor to the X-Files, I've heard.
Yeah, pretty much. I have seen all of it. Josh has seen very little of it.
I've seen the first season. That's about it.
Yeah. The episode we are going to watch is entitled Brown Betty. So if you want to be in the know for the next one, watch that and then listen and review with us. Yeah. So if you listened, thanks for listening. If you didn't listen, you can't hear me.
Good way to end. All right. See you next time, everybody.